Ryu Hanbin wakes up in a place he doesn't recognize, a barren wasteland called Thelhalatna. No idea how he got there, no instructions, just one clear fact: survive. His first fight is against what looks like a rabid monster dog. With nothing but a rock in hand, he throws it, thinking it'll finish the beast. Nope. The dog just shakes it off and comes at him again, completely dominating the fight. Just when he's about to be shoved off a cliff, a strange system message appears, calmly explaining that this terrifying opponent is actually the weakest monster in the entire world, a hell dog. According to the system, it's only as strong as an ordinary human adult. Hanbin can hardly believe it. If this is the weakest, what chance does he stand against anything stronger? The system also reveals a grim truth. The only way to survive here is to fight, kill, and level up. Hanbin's head spins. How did his life take such a turn? Only months ago, things were so normal. 3 months after completing his mandatory military service, he was sleeping in until noon, telling himself he deserved the break. He thought civilian life would be simple once he got back, but the reality was disappointing. Nothing had changed. He drifted through days like a shadow, unsure of what to do next. Then, out of nowhere, he'd been pulled into a void where strange, godlike voices discussed the chosen ones. There were billions of humans to pick from, yet somehow Hanbin became chosen one, number 398. And thanks to a botched transmission of the rules, he didn't even get proper instructions before being dumped into Thelhalatna. Back in the wasteland, Hanbin somehow defeats the Hell Dog and gains a measly 13 experience points. Instead of celebrating, he's rattled. His thoughts spiral. What will happen to his parents? Why him, when so many others dodged military service and could have been chosen instead? To make matters worse, the system bluntly informs him that he has less than a 5% chance of surviving here. It even offers him an alternative: end his own life. Furious and terrified, Hanbin wrestles with the idea, but ultimately refuses. If death was supposed to send him home, the beings who sent him here wouldn't have made this whole elaborate setup. Like it or not, his only option is to keep going. The system prompts him to pick a class. Hanbin wants something safe, like long-distance magic or archery. But each time he tries, his choices get rejected. Magician, priest, even magic swordsman. Finally, with no options left, he's forced into the warrior class, a melee fighter. To make things worse, the weapon he picks, a spear, gets glitched into a long sword he can barely lift. Annoyed, frustrated, but determined not to die, he accepts the cards he's been dealt. Days blur into weeks. Hanbin fights hell dogs over and over, gaining a handful of skills like stab, side slash, and vertical slash. By the 27th day, he's grown strong enough to swing his sword easily, his body showing the results of his hard-earned stat gains. For the first time, he feels like progress is possible, until the system drops a cruel surprise. Out of nowhere, he's reset to level 1. His stats remain intact, but his level and progression vanish. At first, he assumes it's just another bug, but no, the reset is real. He tries to see the silver lining. Maybe if he's level 1 again, the hell dogs will also reset and be easier to fight. Wrong. The monsters keep evolving alongside him, growing stronger no matter what his level shows. Trapped in this endless grind, Hanbin fights, levels up to 4, resets back to 1, and repeats. He learns no new skills beyond the first 3 and can never break through the invisible ceiling. Time drags on. 7 years pass in Thelhalatna. Hanbin doesn't age, and his wounds heal quickly thanks to the system's strange rules. But mentally, he feels stuck in a nightmare cycle. Kill dogs, gain experience, reset, repeat. The monsters adapt just as much as he does, turning every fight into a brutal test of survival. It becomes clear, he and the hell dogs are just tools in some twisted experiment. Eventually, the mysterious voices return, completing the guideline transmission they had started years ago. They reveal that Hanbin's struggle is part of something far bigger, an operation called Jiren Latna's 5th mission. One of the mysterious voices admits it's gotten used to all this, the endless missions, the chosen ones, the resets, because this is already their 5th operation. Normally, they say, players clear a world in about a year. They expect at least a handful of useful candidates this time around. But then, while scanning the system, the entity stumbles across something odd. A broken world, with Hanbin still trapped inside it. Meanwhile, Hanbin, lost in half-sleep, briefly thinks he's finally back home. Subconsciously, his hand hovers over the guideline's alternate option: end his life. He jolts awake just in time, realizing it's been 10 years since he first started killing hell dogs. He once even fell off a cliff and survived, confirming that fall damage means nothing here. No matter how much he trains, he's still locked at level 1. Every time he pushes toward level 5, the system yanks him back to square 1. The thought of giving up has haunted him countless times, but agonizing over it doesn't change anything. He keeps wondering, if he did take that alternate option, would he really return home, or just cease to exist? With that in mind, Hanbin decides to make his years mean something. Time becomes a blur. He stops counting the days. Was it 5 years? 7? Longer? To keep sane, he gives himself projects. He builds a makeshift home out of rocks and debris. It's not much, but it's his. He devotes himself to the small things, not rage or despair. When a colossal hell dog smashes his 3-year project to rubble, he takes revenge, fighting it with everything he has. These giant hounds aren't just loud, they taste awful. But through countless hunts, he figures out how to fight them. Brace for the massive opening attack, endure the undodgeable breath skill, then counter. When they switch to thunder, light, or fire magic, he digs walls of earth to shield himself before landing the finishing blow. Though he never learned any new skills, Hanbin refines the ones he has. After thousands of uses, his 3 basic strikes, stab, side slash, vertical slash, merge into something stronger, his own invented move, cross impact. The system doesn't recognize it, but no monster survives it. The same entity that bungled his initial guideline transmission eventually discovers Hanbin has been trapped in Thelhalatna for 22 years. While every other chosen generation moved on to new missions, Hanbin has been stuck in the same starting zone. The entity panics. If its superiors find out, it's in trouble. Killing him isn't allowed either. After stressing over it, the entity decides on a desperate fix. Hanbin, meanwhile, keeps surviving, chewing on hell dog meat and daydreaming of real food and real people. He notices the faint breeze that always comes with reaching level 4, wonders about his own lifespan, and clings to a stubborn optimism that someday, somehow, he'll get out. Then, without warning, the entity starts breaking the world itself, trying to erase him and cover up its mistake. But instead of death, Hanbin gets a new system message: Thelhalatna is complete. The world collapses, and he's transported elsewhere along with the other chosen ones. For the first time in decades, he's free of the hellish mountain zone. The world that greets him looks unreal. A crimson sky, twisted forests, and jagged terrain. He's in the Sar forest of Greyute Kingdom, on the northern continent of Latna. It's still not home, but at least it's better than those cursed mountains. Strangely, he's now level 5 and has gained a new skill: communication. Hanbin recalls that travelling to the Latna continent should have required him to reach level 20. The system still seems glitched, but he doesn't care. Progress is progress. Then a new guideline appears, handing him a mission far beyond anything before: slay one of the 6 goddesses of Latna. The rewards are absurd: eternal youth, immortality, 3 wishes, or even the chance to return to Earth with all his powers intact. But the guideline also warns him to hide his identity from the locals. His first step: register at the Hunters Guild in the city of Onres. Before he can take that step, a massive dragon descends, roaring at him, calling him a filthy, otherworldly demon. Hanbin goes to ready his sword, only to realize it's across the river. With no weapon, he charges in bare-handed. Against all odds, his punch sends the dragon flying. What follows is the dragon's story. Her name is Effa, once the pride of the Dragon Knights of the Exrad Kingdom. Long ago, she served with honor, until tragedy struck. An arrogant prince insisted on riding her, fell to his death, and caused her knight to be executed in disgrace. Aoife fled, bitter and broken, living in exile in the forest. For years, otherworldly humans appeared, and though she was trained to kill them, she showed mercy instead. But that kindness backfired. More and more came, hunters seeking to kill her. She realized too late that letting them live only invited more bloodshed. She corrects Hanbin, explaining she isn't a dragon but a wyvern, 2 legs, wings on her arms, unlike true dragons with 4 legs and shoulder-mounted wings. Defeated, she begs for her life. Hanbin demands to know how she recognized him as otherworldly. She admits she can't tell by appearance, only because otherworldly humans' bodies vanish when they die. Besides, locals rarely enter this forest. That means Hanbin realizes his identity can stay hidden. When he asks if this is still the Greyute Forest, she informs him the kingdom fell long ago. It's now part of Exrad. That means his guidelines are outdated, and he's furious at the constant misinformation. Aoife pleads again, swearing she only attacked because the goddess herself declared otherworldly humans to be demons. This catches Hanbin's interest. Pressured, Aoife reveals the truth. Otherworldly humans began appearing in Latna 40 years ago. At first, they lived peacefully with the natives, but soon they began hunting Latnians to level up. The stronger ones banded together and formed a group known as the Great Earth, with the goal of killing the goddess herself. Aoife reveals more about the truth of otherworldly humans. They're strong not just because they're different, but because they can level up quickly by killing their opponents. That ability isn't even unfamiliar to dragons, but humans abused it far more recklessly. At one point, a leader rose among them who reached level 100, making resistance almost pointless. To counter this threat, the continent's 4 heroes, Barol the Sword King, Zenobia the Archmage, Garhan the Terrible, and Holian the Transcendentalist of Life and Death, stepped in and wiped out the otherworldly humans in a single strike. After that, the 6 goddesses blessed the continent, declaring that Earthlings were demons who had made pacts with a wicked being called the Demon God. Anyone identified as one of these demons was executed on sight. Hanbin can't believe what he's hearing. After decades of rotting in a mountain wasteland, now he's told that if his identity slips, the entire continent will treat him as an enemy. Her strange, almost ritualistic delivery of the story only makes him angrier. He blurts out that he doesn't care whether it's the goddesses, the demon god, or anyone else. He'll cut through whatever stands in his way if it means getting back to Earth alive. For that reason, he insists he cannot let anyone know the truth about him. Aoife swears she'll keep quiet, promising to live as a normal wyvern and even pretending she can't speak. But Hanbin doesn't trust her pleas. The summary of that encounter leaves it clear. He shows her no mercy. 5 days later, Hanbin finally leaves Sada Forest behind. Ahead lies Onrest City, a massive walled city stretching across the horizon in the northern part of Exrad Kingdom. Around it are dangerous lands like the Ifan Plains, where dungeons spawn endless waves of monsters. Onrest is famous for its Hunters Guild, where people gamble their lives for gold, glory, or survival. It's also a place where otherworldly humans have tried to slip in under cover. When Hanbin enters the guild hall, his huge physique immediately draws attention. Hunters whisper, sizing him up, but he ignores the chatter and heads straight to the counter. Calmly, he tells the receptionist he wants to become a hunter, which shocks the room into silence. A flashback explains why. Despite what it first looked like, he didn't kill Aoife. Instead, he struck a deal. He convinced her to help him, pointing out that she was already hunted and wanted, so her chances of ratting him out were slim. To his surprise, he even enjoyed talking with another being after so many years alone. Remembering her happier memories with past otherworldly humans, she relented. She gave him clothes, though they were embarrassingly tight, and warned him never to take them off in public. She also told him more about the goddesses. No ordinary Latnian ever meets them. Only the 4 heroes, or people who perform great deeds, ever earn their blessings. In practice, that means becoming a hunter, since dungeon monsters are tied to the demon god Ormlus. Hanbin realized then that his guideline system is unique. Aoife couldn't see it at all, and he explained it was a system designed only for otherworldly humans. He admitted his was broken, confusing her even more. Still, she emphasized that hunters live with more freedom, and high levels aren't suspicious among them. Though he should be extra careful, since others like him probably followed the same path. Back in the guild, Hanbin tries to keep calm, though nerves twist in his gut. The receptionist takes his information and prepares his registration. He feels relief that he ignored the guideline's suggestion to say he was from the western backwoods. Aoife had told him to claim he came from North Campbell instead, posing as someone transferring from another guild. Sure enough, when the receptionist hears it, she finds the story plausible. Even so, the room grows tense. The receptionist, puzzled at his late registration despite his intimidating frame, asks him to place his hand on the measuring stone. Hanbin instantly worries it's a trap that will expose him as otherworldly. If things go wrong, he may have to fight his way out, which could blow his cover entirely. But fleeing would look just as suspicious. Steeling himself, he places his palm on the stone. For a second, he imagines the best-case scenario, stats so high the guild bows in awe. Reality, however, is far less flattering. The stone reveals him as a level 5 swordsman, sparking laughter throughout the guild hall. The receptionist quickly apologizes, explaining that most otherworlders start at level 20 or higher, which is why she was cautious. His low level ironically saved him. Nobody would mistake him for an otherworlder now. There's still the matter of fees. Registration costs 300 becks, about 3 million won. Luckily, he borrowed 400 becks from Aoife earlier, promising to repay it without even knowing how much it was worth. The hunters chuckle at his trembling hand as he pays, remarking how rich otherworlders usually are compared to him. At last, the receptionist hands him a beginner's hunter badge under the alias Eric Garin, warning him that replacing it will cost a hefty atisse if lost. Mocked or not, Hanbin takes it as the first step of his new life. For him, this is where the real journey begins. Wanting to dive into a dungeon right away, he requests a mission. Before he can get far, however, a cocky man interrupts. Laude, a well-known adventurer in the guild. With a smug tone, Laude tells him to stay put, unless he wants to end up as monster food. Through their exchange, Hanbin learns that monsters from the nearby dungeon have been multiplying and even attacking nearby homes. Laude doesn't want weak hunters throwing their lives away, so he takes on the job himself. Hanbin checks Laude's stats, level 27, equal to Aoife's. That explains his inflated ego. He's the strongest in the guild. Hanbin, however, has no desire to clash with him right now. The receptionist then points out that Laude's party has an opening. Since completing missions alone is almost impossible, she recommends Hanbin join them to learn the ropes. Hanbin feels nothing but disgust at the idea of joining a party that includes the obnoxious Laude. The arrogant hunter smugly reveals that he's already recruited a new member, so he flatly refuses the receptionist's request. The new recruit steps forward and introduces himself as Atisse, a level 25 mage. But when Hanbin secretly checks the guidelines, he sees Atisse is actually a level 37 magician. Hanbin decides not to dwell on it, assuming Atisse must have his own reasons for hiding his true strength. When Atisse side-eyes him, Hanbin awkwardly looks away. Just as Hanbin is about to give up hope of joining Laude's party, the prideful hunter changes his tune. With mockery dripping from his words, Laude says that since it's a special request from Siguri, the receptionist, he'll take care of a level 5 insect like him. Hanbin finds the comment irritating but keeps calm. The situation escalates when Atisse ridicules him further and even tries to snatch the massive sword on Hanbin's back, only to find he can't budge it an inch. Hanbin finally draws the blade into his hand, confronting Laude. At that moment, another presence enters the scene. A seasoned man named Burkeman has been watching quietly. He approaches Hanbin, noting how effortlessly he handles his sword, and comments that with that physique, he should be capable of fighting level 10 monsters. Laude snaps at Burkeman to mind his own business, but Burkeman ignores him, keeping his attention on Hanbin. Pointing to the huge sword tearing up the guild floor, Burkeman warns that if he keeps swinging it around carelessly, the entire guild will treat him as an enemy. Though it's meant as friendly advice, Hanbin quickly clarifies he doesn't want to fight anyone, afraid that if he causes too much trouble, he'll be thrown out. Even so, Laude is unsettled at how easily Hanbin handles the blade, though he scoffs that no one would ever accept a mere level 5 into their party. Inside, Hanbin admits the truth. He's helpless at such a low level and has already spent most of his money just to register. But Burkeman surprises him by saying that someone with his body could level up quickly. He explains that he's been looking for a recruit exactly like Hanbin and invites him to join his party. Burkeman is a level 25 warrior and assumes Hanbin's weakness comes from inexperience rather than lack of strength. He believes Hanbin's growth rate as an otherworlder will carry him far, though he also knows that means Hanbin won't remain in his party forever. Life in Onrest City revolves around hunting. Built around the dungeon, the city thrives on the flow of monster materials brought in by adventurers, which feed both trade and industry. The main hunting grounds are the Ifan Plains dungeon and the southern edge of the Sada forest. Normally, quests near the forest are rare since monsters rarely leave the trees, but recently attacks in nearby villages have increased, drawing many hunters to join subjugation efforts. Soon after, Burkeman's party engages one of the local threats, a Devolk, a hulking monster native to the Sada forest. Though slow, Devolks possess terrifying grip strength capable of crushing stone and rely on brute weight to land decisive blows. Burkeman, known as the strongest tank in Onres, steps forward to block its assault. When the beast attempts a pincer's attack, his defense halts its momentum, opening a window for his teammate, Amber Bonnet, a level 21 spearman, to counterstrike. Amber rescues Burkeman from the clash, but she teases him for being pushed back, joking that maybe he should consider retiring. Her tone changes when she notices a deep wound on his arm. Panicked, she rushes to check on him, but Burkeman brushes it off with a calm smile, making her blush at his composure. The moment is cut short when his younger sister, Erwin, the party's healer, arrives to mend his injury. Just then, another Devolk sneaks up behind her, but before it can land a blow, Hubert Crutals, the party's rear-line supporter, obliterates it with his special attack, Firehammer. Together, Burkeman, Amber, Erwin and Hubert show why they're considered the #1 party in Onres, a perfectly balanced team with seamless coordination.